holding me up. Now I'm strong enough for both of us, both of us, both of us, both of us. I am a giant, stand up on my shoulders, tell me what you see. 'Cause I am a giant, we'll be breaking boulders underneath our feet. I am a giant. Oh, I am a giant. Don't hide your emotions. You can throw down your guard and feed from the notion. We can be who we are. You taught me something, yeah. Freedom is ours. It was you taught me living it. Togetherness, togetherness, togetherness. I am a giant. Stand up on my shoulders. Tell me what you see. 'Cause I am a giant. We'll be breaking boulders underneath our feet. I am a giant. Oh, I am a giant. I'm gonna shake, throw the weight in the dirt under me, yeah. I'm gonna shake, throw the weight in the dirt under me, yeah. I'm gonna shake, throw the weight in the dirt, yeah. I'm gonna shake, throw the weight in the dirt, yeah. I'm gonna shake, throw the weight in the dirt, yeah. I'm gonna shake, throw the weight in the dirt.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We're very excited to have you all here for the Valuable 500 What's Next live stream and to share our plans with you for phase 2. I'm Claire Brentnell, Director of Events at the Valuable 500. I know many of you through the hundreds of events that Caroline and our team have taken part in over the last couple of years. So thanks to you all for your support in phase 1. Before I hand you over to our founder, Caroline Casey, and CEO, Joanna McGrath, I just wanted to go through some housekeeping with you. To ensure our session is fully accessible, we have international sign available and captions in 4 languages: English, Japanese, French, and Spanish. You can choose which stream you'd like to view using the labelled tabs. Please share questions for us in Slido in the Q&A box, which can be found below the stream window. Please note that we're only able to take questions in English in the English stream. If you need to view a stream in another language and you would like to ask a question, please do email me at claire@thevaluable500.com. You'll also find my email in the confirmation email that was sent when you registered. Thanks, everyone. I'll now hand you over to Caroline and Joe.
Well, look, thank you, Claire. And let's be honest, it wasn't hundreds of events, it was nearly 1,000 events, to which so many of you here as part of today's webinar would have had us welcomed and speaking, and we can't thank you enough for all of that exposure. Now, I have to start today by saying that the only language that's not represented in that lovely stream of languages is Irish, which is absolutely disgraceful. So I'm just going to do Dia Gwich, which means hello in Gaelic to everybody. I'm speaking from Dublin beside my washing machine. For those of you who do not have or can't see like I can, let me just explain a little bit. I have blonde hair, Edna the Incredible glasses, lightning yellow earrings. I am very, very pale skin because I'm albino, and I have a pale green background on my wall. For me, this is a really important day. I actually wish we were all in a room dancing around to that song, because just listening to it, I just want to throw my arms up in the air and go, wow, here we are at this moment. And there's so many things that I'm so grateful and proud of for everything we've done together. And today is just a moment for us to tell you the story, how far we've got together, and to really go through phase 2 with you. We are doing this as ahead of our communication with the Valuable 500 community, which is on May the 11th, and ahead of our announcement on May 18th. There are loads of things that I am incredibly proud about, but one of the greatest, I guess one of the things I'm probably most proud of is the team who are part of our Valuable 500, who this would not be possible without. And more importantly, to have a CEO like Joanna McGrath. I call her Jojo McGrath. I'm not sure she likes that or not, but it is a great gift to have somebody think it's okay to stick around through no pay, total chaos. And I could not be more proud to introduce you to this wonderful, if you haven't met her already, the fabulous CEO that is the Valuable 500 leader, Joanna McGrath.
Oh, thank you so much, Caroline. Thank you. I thrive in chaos, so that's absolutely fine.
Just as well.
And yeah, just to describe myself, for those who might not be able to see, I've got long brown curly hair. I've also got some sort of squarish looking glasses and a green top and a big red lipstick on at the moment as well. So, but it is an absolute pleasure to be here today. Thank you so much to everybody who has taken the time to dial in, to listen to our plans for the Valuable 500, but also just a huge thank you. I can't echo Caroline's thanks enough. Every single person out there watching and listening has helped us in some way to climb the Valuable 500 mountain that we have climbed in the last 2.5 years. You've been sharing our content, you've been inviting us to your events, you've been introducing us to your companies, and you've been making us welcome. And we feel very privileged and very happy to be here as part of this really important ecosystem to make some historic change for people with disabilities around the globe. So as Caroline says, if I haven't met you before, my name is Joanna McGrath, or Joe, or Jojo if you insist, but really Joe is fine. And I'm the CEO here, and I've been working with Caroline and the team since the launch at Davos in 2019. So just after the guys got back from Davos, I joined. And we're really looking forward to a great hour today to share with you our strategy for phase 2. And to tell you all about our exciting plans for what's next.
And so there's no better way to start than everything that used to be said about the Valuable 500, because this is what they said. They said we couldn't do it when I've been kicking around with an idea since 2018, but we did. we did do it. And we did it because of you. Those of you who know me very well know I'm an emotional fish. And I'm good with that today, because we didn't do this on our own. I didn't do it on my own. From the first meeting that Fleur Bothwick held in EY with a group of people around a table in April 2018, you know, it wasn't done alone, but it was hard. What we want you to take part of today is it just shows the importance of all of us kind of being the hands on everyone's back. We have taken no conversation, no help, no introduction for granted, and we really haven't. And so this is to say thank you to each and every one of you, as we said on the webinar this morning. But from this moment on, to acknowledge the huge support you've given us, we are being fully transparent to share with you everything from this moment on is going to be what our Valuable 500 communities are going to witness on May the 11th. We wanted you to see it ahead of May the 11th because we want you to consider how you'd like to work with us moving forward as we have our 3-year transformational change program, this community that we're going to activate. So from us to you, from all the team in the Valuable 500, and to everybody that I know who has supported me, here we are. We, all of us, are the Valuable 500, transforming disability inclusion through the power of business. And we're going to play a little video. It's a bit cheesy, but it's a bit emotional. It's a little out of date because we are more than obviously 450 companies, but it kind of just, yeah, this time today, just go open your hearts to it, because this is what we've done together. At Davos 2019, we put disability inclusion center stage for the first time and made a worldwide call. So this is a crisis, but there is a solution to help end the disability inequality crisis by putting disability on the global business leadership agenda. One influential CEO stood with us, Paul Polman, along with Virgin Media, Omnicom Group and One Young World. Together, we launched the Valuable 500 and asked 500 of the world's biggest business leaders and their brands to join.
500 companies, let's make it possible, because difference is about humanity.
I'm so proud that Virgin Media has joined the Valuable 500.
All great leaders need to do the right thing by their people.
We need to make our organisations far more accessible and open to difference. We need to celebrate those differences.
Leaders with the ambition and influence to transform the global business system, shaping a society that includes everybody.
I do retail. Sometimes operators put always feel close in the best.
Today, over 450 CEOs representing 17 million employees have joined, including some of the world's most influential organizations. But we need more, so many more. What began as a campaign is now a system change community, powered by the Nippon Foundation and supported by the World Economic Forum and the International Disability Alliance. This community of global pioneers will now work together to future-proof business, the economy and wider society.
I am on a mission to ensure that nobody gets left behind.
If you think everybody has value, everybody can be capable, and no one should be excluded, then join us now, because disability is your business. I said it was a bit cheesy, but it does still pluck my heartstrings because we are Valuable 500. Now, I promised we would make the announcement because there is a little competition amongst our collaborators. So, though every name and every person is really important, we did say that we would announce which organization has helped bring in the most companies. So it's at the moment neck to neck between our friends in Access Israel, Michal and Yuval in Access Israel, with Emmy and Mirairo in Japan. And between both of those organizations, they have brought in just under 100 companies. So I just want to acknowledge that. However, as I said, it's not all about one or two or three individuals, but there is one individual who we really would not have been able to do what we've done and certainly take the main stage of the World Economic Forum. And that is our chairman, Paul Polman, who I had to ride across Colombia on a horse to find. But here he is.
Well, thanks to you all for signing up to the Valuable 500. You're an amazing group of leaders, 500 strong, and amongst the most respected companies in the world. You saw the benefit of tapping into the 1.3 billion people with disabilities and their $8 trillion spending power. You understood the power of creating an environment where each and everybody can develop to their fullest potential. And you understood the imperative of creating an inclusive economy that works for all and does not leave anybody behind. The demands on CEOs are enormous, and not all challenges can be solved alone. That's why you belong to this courageous collective. Not only to share and learn, but more importantly, to drive the needed systems changes, so we can change the face of disability once and for all. It is in our collective power to do so. We cannot stop until we translate the Valuable 500 into a valuable world for all. And that includes the 1.3 billion people with disabilities. Let's now use our collective forces and change the system for the better. As the African proverb goes, alone you can go fast, but together you can go far. Now is the moment to go far and leverage our collective weight and change disability into possibility once and for all. Thank you very much.
We are very lucky to have had him from the outset, and he will be with us chairing our advisory board and us as we move forward for the next 3 years. Now, I just want to do this big reveal of the figures because I want us to remind ourselves what we've done, because look at what you've built with us. We have now finally broken the global business leadership silence on disability inclusion with these 500 CEOs. With the figures of 500 board level commitments by the time we announce, 20 million employees. We look at the power of that coming from 35 countries and most importantly, representing 64 sectors. I never even knew there was that much. And also the power of these 500 global supply chains. Now, what do you do with this 8 trillion in revenue? I mean, how do you even get your head around this unprecedented collective influence and intention and time? So what do we do with this? It was never just a campaign, because we are about to globally hack a business solution like no other with all of that power, influence, and intention. That's the exciting part, because our ambition, like yours, is completely the same. It is audacious. We want to radically transform the business system to make it inclusive and accessible to the 1.3 billion people in the world and their families with a disability. And we are going to stop at nothing short, because we have this moment and we have this influence behind us. And so with all of that, we have to remind ourselves why we chose business, why you chose business, because people believe in business. Business is the most powerful force on our planet. We know that. It touches every single second of our life, like it or not. It has a transformative nature like no other. We buy from business, we work with business, we supply business, we create with business. And let's be honest, the philanthropy in our world is from the success of business, is everything. So if it is at the table meaningfully, and if it values, then the world will follow. If it doesn't, then we do not see the value of our community. So the business, well, that's one thing, but who rules the business? So John Amachi, who I met through Kate Nash, he would say leaders make choices and those choices create culture. And that is true. The CEOs right now in our world are some of the most powerful and influential people of our time. They can make change happen in moments that politicians have to struggle with for years. And we know that. And we know a business cannot change, certainly not accelerated, scaled change without the CEO, in the shadow and the light of a leader. But one CEO for the scale of the issue we face isn't going to be enough, and we know that. So we decided, well, hey, let's go for 500. The multiplier effect of 500 CEOs. The system couldn't change with 1, 5, or 10. It could do a bit, it could dent it, but it could not transform it. And for those of you who don't see so well, the slide here that you're looking at, it's like it's got a whole load of sparks or fireflies, right? No one firefly can light up a black sky, but hundreds of thousands of them can. 20 million employees can. And that is what is so important, because this is not just about CEOs. We know that, right? We know that it's about the power of the business, the employees, and the supply chain, the expertise and the passion that exists. But the CEO needs to support that and to further invest in that. And so that's what leads us to our USP, because we believe we are the collective global influence that has the scale of 500 companies and their people and their CEOs. And so with that power, we have come up with a plan. We have built a community like no other. We're the second biggest CEO supported community in the world after UN Global Compact. And we built that. It's nearly closed off, and we built that in 2.5 years, less than. And what do we do now? So our job now is to activate this community and innovate with this community for system change. And so the plan that we've come up with has been designed by business for business, because we had that valuable 500 companies that we could research from literally real time, saying, what are the barriers? What's stopping you? What's stopping C-suite engagement? But most importantly, this transformation change program has been stress tested by the disability community, and it is supported by the community, because let us not forget, we are not here to nod and say, oh, this is wonderful and celebrate if we do not deliver change through the business system for people with disabilities, of which we will all be part of at some point in our life. We exist for that. So before I hand to Joe, I want to run you through very quickly how this happened. Look at how quick we launched in Davos, main stage, as I said to you, 2019. Who knew? A whole year later, we returned to Davos with 250 CEOs signed. Extraordinary. Then a year later, there was no Davos, but at the Davos, we announced the Nippon Foundation, IDA, and a deep relationship with the World Economic Forum. More to later. And in April, as we came to the 30th of April, we are 25 companies out, but we have over 79 conversations. We're going to do this. Woo. So here we go. On May the 18th, we will be launching phase 2 with a full community, with an awful lot of good news, and I hope with a game-changing proposition that will truly leave the world in a better place, hopefully in 3 years. So I am delighted to hand over to Joe to talk you through the deets of phase 2.
Thank you very much. Brilliant. So yes, welcome to phase 2, everybody. We are very excited to share everything with you. As Caroline said, phase 1 has been a 2.5 year, just under 2.5 year process. And it's been all about us building this global movement of 500 CEOs of companies that have got 2,000 people, 1,000 people, CEOs of companies that have got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, and asking each one of them to personally sign their name, to commit to driving change within their business, however big or small, and to driving one action, however big or small. So really what we've got now is this amazing melting pot of 500 different types of businesses, 500 different types of CEOs committing to 500 completely different types of things. And you can see all of those different things on our website. Phase 2 is all about those 500 coming together as one collective and moving as one to affect change. So yeah, as Caroline said, we have spent the past 2.5 years talking to thousands and thousands of companies. So to get 500 CEOs signed, we've had to reach out to well into the 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. And Caroline has spent her life talking to C-suite, to leaders, to companies, 25 years talking to organizations about what's happening, what are the blockers, what's the problem. And really, we've heard the same topics come up over and over again, as I'm sure you have. You have been our expert partners, you have been our collaborators, you are the organizations working with the businesses day to day. And I'm sure you've heard the same topics come up over and over across geographies, across different types of sectors, whether they're global organizations or national companies. We've heard the same themes come up over and over. And we've used that information as an ongoing global focus group, if you like, to develop our phase 2 strategy. And we have built this transformation program that you see on this slide here. So we have got a transformation program which focuses on 6 impact areas, as you see before you. The 3 on the right-hand side, that these are the internal drivers which CEOs can directly impact within their own organizations. So what are they? They are their leadership team. They choose their C-suite and their leaders. They are the kind of focal point, the figurehead for the culture of the organization they run and the people that work for them. And of course, they're responsible for their customers. They're responsible for the products that they make, and they're responsible for the services they provide in the customer experience. And then on the left-hand side, we've got the external drivers, where if our 500 CEOs were to collectively stand together, they could drive system change to influence the way the system works through the lens of disability. And what I mean by that is they could stand together and strive a new way to collectively report on disability activity. They could collectively research in a different way around disability. They could collectively look at the way that people with disabilities are represented within their businesses, both externally in marketing communications, but also internally in their internal comms. So we have designed solutions within each of these 6 impact areas to answer these challenges that we have heard repeatedly come through from the companies as we've been talking to them and as they have been joining the Valuable 500 over the past 2 years. Our companies have been talking about these challenges repeatedly. You have been talking about these challenges repeatedly, and the disabled community have been talking about these same challenges repeatedly. And the exciting news is that these initiatives that we will be working on in phase 2 will be financed, they will be created, they will be developed, and they will be tested by 15 of the companies from within the Valuable 500. Meet the iconic leaders. So
this is drum roll time, right?
Yeah. This is hugely exciting information. So the group that we are calling the Iconic Leaders, they are the group of global CEOs and their teams who will be working with us in phase 2 to create these signature initiatives and drive system change for people with disabilities. And here they are. I'll give you a second to take them in, but we have 13 absolutely amazing global CEOs and their companies confirmed already, with space for 2 more. And we couldn't be more delighted to share with you today the names of the organizations that are going to be co-funding and co-creating with us in phase 2. So you'll see there some absolute fantastic brands and names and businesses. We've got the global CEO of Sony in Japan. We've got the global CEO of Mahindra in India, of Omnicom Global Communications, of Verizon, Sky, Salesforce. And just this last week, we've had confirmation that the global CEO of Google will also be one of our iconic leaders. These are all just absolutely huge global giants. And as each one has confirmed, we have become more and more delighted that this is a genuinely game-changing group of people that can genuinely change the game. We've got Procter & Gamble there, you'll see, Allianz, Deloitte and EY. We've got the London Stock Exchange Group, and we've even got the BBC. The Director General of the BBC is one of our iconic leaders. And you'll see within that list that we have some companies in the same sector, but we fiercely believe, as do our iconic leaders, that disability inclusion is a space where competition really needs to be set aside for the sake of progress. Every single one of these leaders has committed to support us on our phase 2 journey to make businesses more inclusive for people with disabilities. And that's employees and customers. It's through the whole value chain and to the end-to-end value chain, sorry. So now you know who's supporting us. Let's go through those 6 different impact areas and the business solutions one by one, and I will tell you what they are going to be doing. First of all, the C-suite. So the challenge that we hear repeatedly from the suite about the C-suite is that there is a kind of ongoing leadership silence when it comes to disability, that we need more visible role models at the top of business with disabilities and talking about disability. Caroline mentions Paul Polman, and we've had Paul Polman talking about disability on his platform for the Valuable 500 and before the Valuable 500. But imagine the change in narrative we could see if we had 50 Paul Polmans or if we had 500 Paul Polmans. We want to change the narrative around disability in leadership through the power of storytelling to open up the conversations. We will be working with all of our iconic leaders to share their stories around disability, both personal and business. And we will be encouraging our other 485 valuable leaders and C-suite teams to share their stories as well. And from a future C-suite perspective, we will be building a next generation group of leaders with first-hand experience of disability, which we are calling Valuable Minds. And what is unique about us is that this will be talent. This will be 500 talent from our 500 companies. And these individuals will be reverse mentoring our CEOs. So we'll be putting together a kind of 2-way reverse mentoring program to match our CEOs with talent from within their own business. Okay, culture. So the 2 challenges we hear consistently in the people space over and over, I can't tell you how many companies have asked us about this when they've been signing up, is the first one is, how do we get an accurate read on our employee disability data? And the second is, how do we attract and retain disabled talent? The barriers around employees identifying as disabled, whether physical or invisible, and the challenge of navigating different legalities, legislations across markets for global organizations. So we are delighted to be announcing that we'll be working with Deloitte and with Google on a global exercise to gather employee disability data across our 500 companies. We will also be working with Mahindra and with Salesforce on a methodology for Valuable 500 companies to more easily recruit people with disabilities. Customer. So there are lots of innovations happening in the disability space around the world right now, but not enough, nowhere near enough. I mean, how can we as businesses get better at making our products and services inclusive and accessible? And we will be facing this challenge head on with Procter & Gamble and with Omnicom, and we'll be working with them on a customer experience audit to help our companies identify both the blockers and the opportunities for disabled customers to purchase. That's the first big piece on customer. The second piece in customer we're really excited to announce is that we're going to be working with Verizon in the space of accessible technology to scale their amazing Teach Access program beyond the States. And for those of you who might not have heard of Teach Access, it is a fantastic collaboration between a number of the enormous technology companies, including Verizon and Google, who are our iconic leader companies, but also Facebook, Microsoft, and Apple, and many others, who have been working with the universities in the States to equip next generation students with accessibility skills. So this is really all about connecting the accessibility experts of tomorrow with the businesses who need them today. Reporting. So I think, as we all know, disability data is publicly very limited and often invisible. If we're really honest, it can often completely excluded from both internal reporting, such as annual reports within business, and an external reporting when you look at the global indices. And if we genuinely want to drive system change as a collective, then we need to collectively understand where we're starting from. We want to encourage public disclosure of corporate disability data from all of our companies. And we will be working with the London Stock Exchange Group, EY and Allianz to build a framework for both internal and external reporting of disability metrics. Research. So the most recent global report into disability from the World Health Organization was back in 2011. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but that's been 10 years ago. I mean, it's 10 years old. Some of the stats that we're still using are 10 years old. There is just not enough global research done in the space of disability, and we really want to change that. So we will be working with EY and with Sky on a global listening tool to uncover insights from disabled consumers from around the world and to share those insights with our companies directly. We want to hear the views of the global disabled community, and we'd like to start by asking them for direct feedback on our 500 companies and giving that insight directly to the companies that are listening. And then finally, representation. One of the biggest themes that comes up again consistently over and over. I mean, the world presented in advertising and the media should reflect society. And there is a huge gap in representation of people with disabilities, both in front of and behind the camera. There isn't a global data metric on this due to lack of global research, as I previously mentioned. But to give some context, just a tiny amount of context, in North America, less than 3% of characters seen on screen have a disability, which is woefully below, the 15% minimum that we should be seeing. So we will be working with Sony and the BBC to set a new visual standard for representation of people with disabilities. And we'll be building an amazing media hub of creative assets and creative resources for our companies and their agencies to use in their marketing communications. We will be starting working with our iconic leaders and their companies and their teams on these business solutions later this month, and there will be a phased rollout of the different initiatives later this year. So that is what the iconic leaders will be doing, but what will the rest of the community be doing whilst they are waiting for this phased rollout to happen? And I'd like to introduce you to our Chief Partnerships Officer, Crosby Cromwell, who is waving that, and also with us live. Crosby is
waving live.
Crosby is based in Washington, DC, so sometimes she waves, sometimes she's here.
Good day, everyone. I am Crosby Cromwell. I'm thrilled to be with you today. Sorry, you have to watch me waving as I speak to you. For audio description, long red hair, red sweater, extremely excited countenance, skin that will always burn in the sun, sitting in my apartment in DC, thrilled to be connecting with you. You've heard about our deep belief in the power and scale of business and our deep belief in the power and scale of this collective. But at the heart of it lies our relationships with you. Both Caroline and Joe have said, thank you for everything that you've done, and we can't wait for what's ahead. No one knows the importance of this work and us getting it right now better than you. And as we move into phase 2, we will be deepening our relationships with our 500 companies, specifically the 485 outside of the Iconics, deepening our relationships with you, a myriad and slew of activities and resources, everything from webinars and trainings to consistent communication from our team to you, as well as working groups, putting our companies together by sector, by geography, by issue. We can't wait to see the impact that comes out of the resources and the conversations once we harness the power of this collective. Joe mentioned it earlier. We'll also be moving the collective forward together at several points throughout the year for really important moments that harness the scale and energy at a global level. So hang on with us as we go through this work. We're going to need you in this journey. So I look forward to getting to know you. I look forward to working with you. We're building out a team on the partnership side who will be here for anything you need. Reach out to me. We're going to be reaching out to you. So with that, Joe, I'll turn it back to you. I'll wave goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, and then if we go the next slide, yeah. So okay, and thank you, Crosby, for that. So we've got an amazing partnerships officer in Crosby, but we are also building the Valuable 500, a gorgeous new home. This is going to be a fantastic digital platform to connect our fantastic global community. And it will be a place for the teams from our 500 companies to connect with each other, to share the work that they're doing in the disability inclusion space, both in their market, in their sector, but outside of market as well. We really want this to be a thriving hub of activity. I kind of see it, the brief to the agency really is kind of, we want one login that will give you 499 sources of information. And really a space for our companies to share, to ask questions, and to help each other get better together, stronger and faster. The website will be ready for beta launch later this year, and we're hoping the first version will be ready towards the end of August. So yeah, this is a 3-year transformation program, and we're all on this journey together, whether that's the Valuable 500 team, you, the collaborators, the companies, the CEOs. In terms of KPIs and success measures and what success looks like, we've talked about this, and my view on this is that success looks like any one of our companies committing to this 3-year journey with us and finding any one of the solutions that I've talked to you guys through useful in helping them to be more inclusive for people with disabilities that either work for them or buy from them. And that's kind of mini success. But if we're talking about system change success, if we're talking about the big success, the real success, then it really means all of our companies being involved for the 3-year program and getting involved in all of the initiatives to genuinely try and change the system, to genuinely move the needle, and working together to kind of shift that dial. And ultimately, the Valuable 500 being this amazing incubator to create, to innovate, to test amongst the 500, and then to go out to the rest of the world. So after our 3-year program, those initiatives are broken in, they're ready, they're tested to go out to other companies around the world. This community has already done a great thing in finding one another. It has actually done one great thing 500 times. And we, in doing that one great thing of getting a CEO to put their name down on a piece of paper and say, I commit to taking action for people with disabilities. I commit to making a change within my business and helping the team and helping the Valuable 500 to make this campaign a success. We have repeatedly broken the leadership silence around disability, and we have come together as a global movement. And my view on this is, and our view actually, is to just imagine the amazing things that we can do if all of those brilliant CEOs and all of their brilliant teams and all of us work together to pull in the same direction to make change happen. We think it can be game changing. So back to Caroline.
Well, yeah, I think the thing for us is, because everybody says, what happens when you reach 500? Like, would you not have 510? Look, we have it all in the plan, step by step by step, right? If we had told them we have this idea of this radically transformation system change community at the beginning, I think people would have run away from us. So, of course, after 2024, from 500 to the rest of the world. But the reason that we show the next slide is, I guess it's like we're building energy, that contagious force. What happens when we work in symphony? This is something Comcast gave me the wording for, is when it's sort of like we join all the dots. And this relationship we're building is, yes, the Valuable 500 are here to serve the Community 500, but this community are here to serve the disability. And when we work together, in it together, sharing together, failing together, creating together, look what happens. And this is an image of a group of starlings. I used to say it was swallows. Sorry, Richard picked me up on it. And it's just awe-stopping to see it. And I think if you were ever to say this is a symbol of what we've created together, this is it. And we intend for this to be the symbol of what we're doing together. Constantly flexible, constantly agile. At the core and the cultural heart of the Valuable 500 is this philosophy, intelligent magic. Now, I gotta say, I'm an oxymoron as a human being anyway, but I think one of the things Valuable 500 brings to play is two extreme sides, the intersection of both. If you look at our logo, you see the hard line of the V and you see the soft of the heart. It's both. It's both to make this change happen. We need to bring our heads and our hearts. We need to bring soft and strong. We need to bring stats and stories. We need to bring our intelligent magic. It kind of needs both. And that's what's so magical about the Valuable 500 and this community. So to make sure intelligent magic stays, we have several things that we want to see be running through our community. We love our alliteration. So the first four all begin with I. One is intersectionality, and we know intersectionality, I don't need to tell you all about that. We know we no longer can have a singular views of diversity and inclusion where we compete against each other. We need to look at through the lens of disability in all the ways it turns up. The second is intergenerational, the power of that young generation who have a very different experience to my 50-year-old self. And they have tools that I never had or knew. We're talking about disability pride. They have intelligence that we need our current CEOs to have access to, hence Valuable Minds. The next part of it is all about integration. This is about building in disability business inclusion into the systems that already exist. It's not creating another thing to add on where they go, oh no, it's too much. It's about looking at what's been done brilliantly, looking at what you've done brilliantly, and how do we weave it in and nearly make it a contagion within the business system. And lastly is interconnectedness of our four I's. This is not the issue that belongs to the C, H, or O. This is right across the supply chain, the value chain, end to end. And every single part of the business needs to be touched with this. This needs to be in the DNA. The next part is collective collaboration. Told you I like the alliteration. We know this already. And it's really important for us to say we exist to rise the tide for all. Our job was to make a bigger community for organizations like you to go into serve, not the same group that we all do and see. We wanted to open more doors. Our job is to work with the C-suite to make sure that they invest in your organizations and all the intelligence that you have. But the last and most important philosophy of all is safe to fail. You know it better than anyone. How many times have they said, you know, we're worried about getting it wrong. We haven't done enough. Our house isn't in order. Well, that fear of failure is stopping huge accelerated growth. You all have got brilliant ideas. We're not seeing the scaled change because we haven't seen the CEO. We haven't seen people be able to be open to innovation because innovation often brings the risk and the risk can bring failure. We want to create a community where it's okay that we might not get it right the first time. It's okay you don't know everything, but it's not okay you do nothing. So with a game-changing ambition as big as this, well, we certainly needed to have game-changing support. Now, we started off with Paul Pohlmann, Omnicom, and we had One Young World, and we had Virgin Media. But guys, that was 2.5 years ago. We so need to have a different ecosystem. So in a way, we have built the team of teams across the globe. And I'm going to talk you through them very briefly so that you can see them. And this is what is going to hold us accountable to ensure every company delivers on its commitment and we deliver for you for the Valuable 500 so they can deliver for the disability community. And so this is another drum roll. Our phase 2 partners are the Nippon Foundation, the International Disability Alliance, the World Economic Forum, and our iconic partners. Now, I want to hold on the Nippon Foundation for a second. This is not only the biggest singular financial investment to disability business inclusion, of which it is. What it has enabled us to do, aside from eat and not be terrified of being able to put on the lights, which was an awful lot of that for phase 1, it has enabled us not to have to ask our founding companies, our Valuable 500 companies, for money. We do not need membership fees. The money and resource they have will go into the work that you do so that they can pay you to do the resources you need, that they will use the money to scale and systemically change disability within their business. No more excuses. Having the International Disability Alliance with Vladimir Cook means that we will consistently be held to account by the disability community delivering for it. With the World Economic Forum, we will be ensured that we'll be networked and ensure that disability remains on the business leadership agenda where we put it 2.5 years ago. And of course, our iconic companies, which Joe walked you through. So I want you to listen. This is Aishiro from the Nippon Foundation. Listen to the first few sentences and it will make you laugh.
I am very happy and excited to announce we have 500 valuable companies and are able to move to the next phase. Investing $5 million in a 2-year-old social enterprise was not an easy decision for the Nippon Foundation to take, but we took it because we believe the Valuable 500 can become a fundamental game changer, transforming the way people with disabilities are supported and revolutionizing disability inclusion. The Nippon Foundation has supported persons with disabilities and pursued the goal of a diverse and inclusive society for over 50 years. For instance, we created a deaf education system in Vietnam, enabling deaf children to study in sign language from primary school through to university. It took 20 years. We developed programs to train local prosthetic and orthotic professionals to international standards in 6 Asian countries. This has taken 30 years. We have worked with NGOs, governments, and international organizations on these projects. But missing has been business, the most powerful and influential sector on the planet. The Valuable 500 has taken up the challenge of bringing inclusion commitment into the global CEO community, not based on the concept of social welfare, but strengthening the economic benefits of employing people with disabilities. This is truly a new approach. 500 of the world's leading companies assuming a leadership role in disability inclusion, which we believe will give birth to fresh thinking and lead to new solutions to global issues. We sincerely hope that together with you all, we will be able to achieve a better world by using this new platform, the Valuable 500, to the fullest extent.
I love that line. It was not easy for them to give 5 million to a 2-year-old social enterprise. And it's not easy, but it's skin in the game. And here is also where skin in the game is, what Joe was saying about the iconic leaders. They're not only giving us the expertise of their teams, but they are also financing the solutions for change. And this, once again, gives us the freedom to ensure that the resource of the business goes to where it needs to go. Now, the next group holding us accountable is our advisory board, and that's chaired by Paul Poman. Their sole task is to make our lives difficult, meaning they are going to challenge every step of the way that we deliver for you, for the Valuable 500 community. So the Valuable 500 community will deliver to the disability community. Every single member of this advisory board has a direct and personal link to disability and brings a wealth of expertise. None of them are yes people. I can't see them, and I'm sure I'll leave somebody out. So I'm going to ask Joe just to read through their names so that you can see it for those of you like me who can't see the screen.
Yes, of course. So we've got Paul Polman, who is our chair, Sadia Zahidi from the World Economic Forum. She is one of the managing directors there. Ishiro Kabasawa, who you've just seen speak from the Nippon Foundation. Jeff Dodds, who is the COO at Virgin Media and has been one of our big sponsors for the first phase of activity for the Valuable 500. And then we've got a number of different business leaders, Natasha Muller, Rosalind Blair, Nia Milliken, and Catherine Garrett Cox. And then at the bottom row, we've got Eddie and Dopu. We've got Greg Nugent, who was one of the producers or the producer for Rising Phoenix. And we've got Rennie Manfredi, who's one of the Special Olympics athletes.
Thanks, Joe. Now, the next group that is going to hold us accountable to our committed ambition is our Systems Supergroup. This will be chaired by Vladimir Cook from the International Disability Alliance. The whole idea behind our Systems Supergroup is business operates within a system, right? And all of these big global institutions and initiatives have a disability strategy, right? But we've got to make sure that we're all supporting each other and aligning to each other and not recreating wheels and taking much needed resources out of the system. We should be looking after each other and taking care to make sure that we support. It is about the collaboration that is going to make the change happen. So this group will also be stress testing the strategy to ensure that we are in alignment and delivering to the disability community. And last but not least is you. And that is our wonderful collaborators. So phase one, we had 8 expert partners and we had nearly 100 friends, friends and family and people who could not have done more for us. Now, the Valuable 500 needs more than 8. It needs much more. And we need vendors and we need subject matter experts and we need global solution partners. So Crosby, waving Crosby, will be coming to you and be open for conversation to build this directory of what we believe are valuable organizations that we want our companies to work with. And we would like to announce that collective when we announce our valuable home, hopefully at the end of the summer. So, but all of this, there is one very special group, and this is the one that always makes my heart bounce out of my chest. And this is your team. This is the team, the Valuable 500 team. It began with one woman. It feels like a long, long time ago. I have not felt on my own for quite some time. This team is now growing. It will not grow too big because we're going to work through your organizations rather than bring people into our team. But this is a team who have made the impossible possible. This team is the thing that I am most proud of, because when you come up with a crazy plan, you are really appreciative of the crazy people who think it's a good idea. Some people have been here a long time with me. Richard Poston, our Director of Comms, and Chris Wooding, who many of you know, have been with me for nearly centuries at this point. You met Crosby, who's our Director of Partnerships. You've met Claire, who's our Director of Events. Please meet Chloe, who is our CMO, waving away there, and has only joined since the 17th of April. Maribel is working from the Lebanon as our head of social media. Sarah is our director of ops, really, and making sure that we're all doing what we're supposed to do. And over there in the little corner waving is Karis, who is our head of marketing, who's been with us also from the very beginning, and many of you will know her. And here is your team. And of course, Joe. So we come to the end as we wave, and the challenge is big, and we know the challenge is big. We know it, okay? But it is possible, and it can be done because we have you, we have a moment in time, we have this incredible plan with a lot of alliteration. We have 500 shortcuts for change, because every one of our companies is a shortcut for change if we act collectively together. Remember what we have. We've got 15 iconic leaders, like who knew? How exciting. And we have 500 companies and all the power that they bring and influence and intention, because the only way that we can fail is if there is not enough will, energy, and intention, and we will make sure there is with you. So to end, we believe this is our business, all of our business, and this is our time, all of our time, because to quote COVID, we will build back better, and the disability community will be with us every single step of the way. And so thank you all for listening. We're going to go for quick Q&A. Before I hand to Joe, I just want to say thank you. And I also want to say thank you to Claire. This was our very first webinar. We've spoken 1,000 of them. So this was ours. We're quite nervous. And I want to thank Attendable and Clear Text and Interpreting Matters for supporting us. And just now to hand over to Claire and to Joe, and from all of our hearts, thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Yeah, let's get on to some questions, I think, if there have been any. I don't know.
There have actually. The audience has been very busy submitting lots of questions, which is brilliant. And just before we start, we have had some lovely feedback from our friend Deb Rue, who sent through some feedback just saying, stoked about this meeting and wish the Valuable 500 success. Thank you all. Thank you for all your efforts.
Oh,
so, thank you, Deborah.
Thank you, Deb.
Okay, so our first question. Okay, brilliant work. Why do you think now is the right time for change?
Well, I'm going to start by saying, why has it taken so long? Okay, and I just think there is a lot of things have happened and changed. We are standing on the shoulders of giants who have worked decades before us. Let's be honest here. You've just seen what QuickCamp has done There's so much build-up behind this moment. But I think COVID has really been a transformational moment right now.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say, why not now? But equally, this past 12 months, I think with the George Floyd murder and the pandemic, there has just been a bigger focus than ever on companies' inclusion policies, the way that they're accessible and they're inclusive across all aspects of society. And I think we've really found this year that companies have been coming to us. It's been much less that we've been reaching out and much more that companies have been coming to us to say, we want to be the best that we can be in terms of inclusion. How do we do that?
Thank you. And we've had another question come in, and just to say, this is amazing. Any plans to include more than 500 companies?
Well, yeah, I mean, as we said, 2024 to the rest of the world. I mean, I think that's quite ambitious. The Nippon Foundation, well, can I just start by saying that Paul Poman was like, why are we just doing 500? Could we do 5,000? I went saying, do you want us to stay alive? Yes, we will. Listen, the community is going to decide if it's going to be 500 plus. And we will, of course, take that into consideration. But we please need to honour for a moment. Joe said it. We talked to 6,000 or 7,000 companies here. We need to honour the 500 who've made that step.
Yeah.
Okay, and the next question, how will you ensure the 500 make change happen? Will you update on progress regularly?
Joe, do you want to take that?
Yes, absolutely. I think there's different ways that we are making sure that progress happens. And we've been really clear from the beginning, we are not the action police. The reason that we have the CEOs sign the commitment statements and join the Valuable 500 is because it's the CEO's word. I mean, you've seen us talk through the kind of the theory and the methodology. Business is really important to us, but the reason we need the CEOs is because it's the CEOs that call the shots. And if the CEO signs and says they will take an action and this is what their action is going to be, then that's good enough for us. But alongside that, one of the other things we ask CEOs to do is to share with their companies that they've joined the Valuable 500, that they've committed to one action, and this is the action that they've committed to. So they've also got their employees that are holding them accountable, 20 million employees across the full portfolio of companies. So, yeah.
And I'd add on to that the media, because I think you cannot deny we live in a world where we're constantly being monitored. But the other thing is, what we would say to you is it's not our problem getting them to meet their commitments, because we have a relationship. What is our problem right now is they want to do more. And that's exactly what we wanted. And that's why we have phase 2. They're like, okay, what's next? And how can we do it more? And how can we scale it? And how can we accelerate it?
It's in fact, that's a very good point. It's all the hows. It's like, right, we've done that bit. How do we do X? How do we do Y? How do we do Z? And that really has been, like you say, the kind of the insight and the energy and the fire that has led to phase 2. It's like, let's work together to solve these hows and let's do them together.
Sadly, that's all the time we have for questions this afternoon. But if we haven't answered all your questions, we will come back to you by email. And you can also email me if you have any other questions, and we'll come back to you. But now to hand you back to Caroline and Joe.
Nothing to say, but a huge thank you. We've talked so much. I mean, an hour on Zoom or webinars is enough. But thank you for everybody and everything. And I hope we do you proud, and we look forward to working with you for the next 3 years.
Absolutely. And we're here. You know, I'm Joanna at thevaluable500.com. Caroline is Caroline at thevaluable500.com. Ask us your questions. We invite discussion. We'd love to hear your feedback. In fact, we've already had lots of feedback from the session this morning for the other time zone. So we're really open. We're really excited to be working together, and we look forward to this next phase and making change happen.
So enjoy the dance out, the little disco for now. Yeah. I'm going to go get a cup of tea, which is great.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks a million, everyone.
Bye.
I understood loneliness before I knew what it was. Saw the pills on your table for your unrequited love. I would be nothing without you holding me up. Now I'm strong enough for both of us, both of us, both of us, both of us. I am a giant. Stand up on my shoulders. Tell me what you see. 'Cause I am a giant. We'll be breaking boulders underneath our feet. I am, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am a giant. Oh, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am a giant. Don't hide your emotion. You can throw down your guard and feed from the notion. We can be who we are. You taught me something, yeah. Freedom is ours. It was you taught me living is togetherness, togetherness, togetherness. I am a giant. Stand up on my shoulders. Tell me what you see. 'Cause I am a giant. We'll be breaking boulders underneath our feet. I am, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am a giant. Oh, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am a giant. I'm gonna shake, throw the weight in the dirt under me, yeah. I'm gonna shake, throw the weight in the dirt under me, yeah. I'm gonna shake, throw the weight in the dirt, yeah. I'm gonna shake, throw the weight in the dirt, yeah. I'm gonna shake, throw the weight.